My name is Chelsey Walker-Watson, and I work in sales and marketing for Atlas Coffee Importers. And I also get to help out and assist with quality control. So that means if you take a class at Atlas, I might be in the background, like washing dishes or helping to set up a cupping. And have also had the pleasure of being a student with Drew before, who is here with
Yay.
me. Welcome, Drew.
Thank
Drew,
you.
can you, so with the context of today, we're going to talk about the SCI Certified Cupper Course. This is a brand new course that Atlas is offering and a generally new course, which is why we're doing this Q&A so that people can have like a living little video to learn about this course. Can you share more about what you do professionally and how you're connected to Atlas?
Yeah, sure. It's hard for me to believe, but I've been in the coffee industry for 26 years now, as a roaster and working uh, with Atlas, with an importer for 13 years, doing quality control and education and things like that for many years. And now I'm an independent contractor. I do professional development courses. Um, So in the past, I've been an AST with the SCA and done their courses, and then the Heritage Q course was really my favorite thing over many years to walk alongside students as they made it through that rigorous accomplishment. And now with the sort of changes that have been afoot, I've become an instructor with the Sustainable Coffee Institute. So that's why we're here today to talk a little bit more about that.
Excellent. Well, I know in the United States, at least, the Sustainable Coffee Institute is maybe an organization that not a lot that might be new to some coffee professionals. So could you share more about SCI and what its mission is, what work it does?
Yeah, sure thing. So SCI has been around for a number of years, and its mission, have it here, is providing competency and skills-based coffee education through structured and standards-focused curriculum to ensure economic, social, and environmental stability in the coffee industry.
Excellent.
And they began a few years ago, kind of seeing a gap in the offerings that were out there, and also just feeling the need for, I guess, coffee programs that were a little more global centric,
Hmm.
that arose rather than being Euro or American centric. Um, that listened to the needs of coffee professionals around the world and helped to supply those needs on an education basis. And so for a number of years, they've been working in the education space with things like barista brewing training and roasting training. And then in spring of 2025, right after the SCA announced that they were taking over the Q program, SCI announced that they were going to move into the gap that was left by that transition, that they would welcome current Q graders to transfer their license into SCI, and they were going to develop a training program for cuppers that moved into the gap that the Heritage Q program left. And so that began a many months process of developing the course, which was completed this past October and delivered for the first time that month, October 2025, in China.
Hmm.
And since then, it's been delivered multiple times in China and in Saudi Arabia, I believe, a few times, and in Kenya, and now we'll be offering it in the United States in Seattle in
This
a
is the first
few
U.S.
weeks.
course?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, people better sign up to be part of an inaugural class here. That's exciting. You always hear
Yeah,
about
it
older
is.
coffee professionals talking about being like one of the first Q Arabica graders, as like this badge of honor. Someone could have that now.
I know. Yes, I have had those same conversations before, and here's the opportunity. We're starting
Hmm.
again.
Yeah, that's exciting. Um, Okay, so you are an instructor with SCI now. So with the Certified Cupper course, since it's the first time in the US, obviously people don't know a lot about the details. So can you kind of give us an overview of just the basics or like foundational elements of what takes place in the course? Like how long it is, what do students actually do? What do they get out of it?
Yeah, sure thing. So it is a 5-day course, so slightly shorter than the Heritage Q course. And for people who
Nice.
are used to a 5-day work week, it's a little more succinct in that regard. Um, and the first 3 days are training and exercises to help build our capacity, build knowledge and skills. And then the day 4 is all testing, and day 5 is the morning is kind of the final tests, and then in the afternoon is an opportunity for retakes. So anyone who did their research and looked into what the Q program is, there's a lot of similarity in the basic structure of the course. It's just a little shorter. Um, there are some differences. One of the differences is sort of the philosophy of teaching cupping.
Mm,
SCI does have their own cupping form that we use in the course. But the idea is actually to teach cupping beyond forms,
hmm
and to create professionals that understand their senses and understand how to value coffee, who are then able to like move between different forms, like you might translate between languages, right? So you could
Mm-hmm.
use the COE form, you could use the Heritage SCA form, you could use SCI's form and be able to switch between them. And the way that we do that is by focusing on attributes and diving a little bit deeper into sort of isolating those attributes and building skills there than the Q course did.
hmm
Or the Q course, it was more like the Heritage Q course, I'll say, kind of jumping in like, here's this complicated cupping form, now score coffees.
hmm
And so this really backs up a little bit and helps us really understand our senses and how they apply to coffee a little more attribute by attribute. Um, and then another thing that I like about it is it's really attempting in this time where a lot more people are becoming reluctant to talk about value, and how we might grade one coffee and say this one
hmm
is more valuable than another, or that there's any, I mean, objective is a sticky word, but I'll use that for now with an asterisk, that there's any objective way to evaluate quality. For people who are working in the trade and buying coffee, we need a rubric to be
hmm
able to, one, say, hey, this coffee works for my clientele and this coffee doesn't. This
Yeah.
one is better for my purposes and this one is not. And to evaluate our rivals and say, this came in according to expectations, this doesn't. And so the effort here is to create a really um, succinct, efficient system to help facilitate trade, to help how do you make those decisions? And then how do you communicate those decisions with partners? Uh, and another thing I like about it is that it spends more time in other areas other than cupping.
Mm.
The Q course was like cupping front and center. Um, but as we all know, I've rarely met a person whose job is cupper.
Yeah.
Usually you're cupping as a part of a bigger job
hmm
description.
hmm hmm
And so people need skills for for doing that, right? And a lot of those involve understanding samples and understanding different grades and types of coffee and understanding how coffee is traded and what different types of samples mean and how we act upon them and like the sort of admin of running a lab, other ways of testing coffee besides cupping, which we really engage in. So there's a whole module on all kinds of ways that we test coffee, which could be water activity, moisture, density, all of these different tests that you might use in a lab besides cupping or in
Oh,
addition
cool.
to and alongside cupping.
So it sounds like it's looking more like at a holistic view of how we evaluate quality in coffee and like different
Yes.
tools or metrics we can use outside of just cupping.
And a little more like trying to be realistic, practical, like job training. Like, what are the
Yeah.
skills that people need to do this kind of work?
Yeah. I love that. And I like that has a new form that is like preparing you to have a foundation where you can use different tools within the industry. That's very cool. I took a sneak peek at it with Drew earlier, and I really like the form, and I'm excited to learn how to use it myself. That's great. Um, so obviously within the industry, there's a number of different avenues people can take to have professional development and specifically to develop their sensory skills or maybe even gain a certification. And SCI's Certified Cupper Course is just one of those. Kind of looking at other maybe similar courses, is there any perspective that you could offer if someone's trying to choose what's right for them of maybe why the SCI Certified Cupper Course would be the best fit?
Yeah, I really do. I would come back to that sort of um, looking for a way if you're involved in a role in the industry, and it could be working for an exporter, working for a dry mill, working for an importer, working for a roaster, but you touch the sort of trade, buying and selling of coffee.
Hmm.
This is meant to be a training that provides skills and job, knowledge and skills for doing that kind of work in a really no nonsense, sort of practical, pragmatic way. Whereas some other training that is out there is more like looking at the sensory science, and it's not that we ignore that. That is has informed
Hmm.
some of the approaches that SCI takes, but we're not going to spend a lot of our time in this course delving into the sort of theory of food science and things like
Yeah.
that, or other trainings that might be focused on more subjective ways of looking at coffee and describing it for marketing purposes. That's not what we're doing here. We're looking for an efficient way to help people make decisions and communicate about them with partners.
Hmm.
So,
Excellent. Yeah, I know that, like for example, how this form is used is like how most of us at Atlas will like, kind of benefit from cupping or utilize our cupping skills. So someone working like with us would be the perfect fit. Well, great. So, are there any other things that you would like to add? I know you have obviously talked with a lot of coffee professionals and cuppers and some students that have already enrolled in the course, or people that are considering it. Are there any other kind of common questions that you have received from prospective students that might be helpful to explore here?
um, I think the biggest thing is just making people aware of this program,
Mm-hmm.
um, that it's out there, and that I think it fulfills a real gap in the industry that exists right now. Um, and also, it is a certification that you walk away with. I recognize that it's a certification that is new, but there are definitely the people who have been the creators are longtime instructors within the Heritage Q program. So a lot of experience went
Such as
into
yourself
this.
as the instructor?
Yes, and I was able to be a contributor, but building off of some of the philosophies of the Q program and also things that we as instructors always saw could have been done better. I
Hmm.
think it takes it forward a little bit. Obviously, we're this is a new program, so it's not starting off with the credibility that the Q program had at the end of its tenure.
Hmm.
But the Q program, as you mentioned early on, was also something new that had to gain steam. So hopefully people will see the value here and buy into it. And I think it's a program that has a lot of value already. I think that when more people start moving through the program, it'll gain more recognition. I think it's just common sense and useful training. But it's also a certificate program that you take with you. There is an ongoing calibration element like the Q to keep people current. But the
Mm-hmm.
vision there is also to make that less of a burden than calibration was sometimes in the Q program, if you know anything
Mm-hmm.
about it, to make it more accessible, more affordable, and for it to deliver professional development value so that cuppers are continuing to grow as professionals. So there is this sort of ongoing check-in, but I think it'll take a different shape than it did in the Q program, and add value to people's licenses over the years.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, for folks that are watching this that don't know, the SCI Certified Cupper Course at Atlas is going to be from May 11th through the 15th. And I think we will be accepting registrations through probably a month before. So let's call it like April, I don't know. What did we say actually? Like April 17th, maybe?
I mean, we can continue to accept uh, reservations even after that point,
Okay, great. So if
but
someone's
that is,
watching this,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, and if somebody has follow-up questions, where's the best place for them to contact you?
I can be reached at drew@drewbillups.com. So just
Perfect.
the email that I use for my consulting business.
Great.
Easy to remember.
And for anybody that wants to reach out via Atlas, you can find us at education.atlas at nkg.coffee. Well, thank you for your time today. We're super excited to have you and the Cuppers here in May and to host the inaugural course. It's going to be a good time.
Yes, it's always lovely talking to you, Chelsey. Thanks for putting
You
this
too.
together, and I'm excited about the course.
My pleasure. All right, we will see you soon.
All
Thank
right,
you.
take care.
Bye.